Elliott Serrano and Jose Melendez, coming to you from Streamwood, Illinois. Not Schaumburg, Streamwood, Illinois, here at the, we'll call it the bunker, on the Comic Culture Warrior YouTube channel. And the only thing that's changed right now is the location. And yes, we're drinking Red Bull. In fact, Jose and I are both hitting it today. Let's get into some comic books. I've been kind of going back over a lot of our reviews, and I saw that we were slanting kind of negative. So when we have a lot of really good stuff coming out in a week, you know, that makes me feel good. Mm-hmm. First book that we're going to talk about is a new book from Vertigo, The Unwritten, by Mike Carey and Peter Gross, who I loved when he did a few issues of Starman back during the James Robinson run. He was really did a really good job. I think him and Tom Sneijberg, you always say his name wrong, tag teamed on that book. The Unwritten, I'm gonna tell you right now, Jose told me read this book. It's a new Vertigo book. How many pages?
48 pages. 32 pages of art.
32 pages of art, and it was only $1. $1.
I saw this on... I read about the solicitations in previews when it came out, and first off, we never really talked about what Vertigo has been doing since the beginning of the year. Every month, Vertigo is putting out one of their titles for $1.
Right.
It started back in February or March with Air number 7. The day that Air number 7 came out, the trade paperback came out that collected the first 6 issues, which was only $9.99. And then the same day that the trade paperback came out, they released Air number 7 for $1. So
you can read all of them.
You can read all of them. If you never read Air before, you can pick up the trade for $9.99 and then just pick up the 7th issue for $1. And that is a great way to get people away from the trades and get into the monthlies.
Like, how much though on average is an issue of Vertigo? So is it $2.99 book?
Yeah.
I mean, the only drawback I see to that is if I had read the first 6 issues of Air and then I paid the full $3, then I kind of get jobbed when the trade comes out.
But it's only the first Vertigo on all their volume ones for the most part are $9.99.
Oh, $9.99.
But then they go to like $15.99. So like Scalp number 1 was $9.99.
Okay.
So when they start up a new trade series,
right,
the first one's always $9.99. But so like the next one will be like regular price. Yeah.
So now Jose,
but
it's $1 book, and go on. I'm sorry, go on.
But I don't think Air. I don't remember Air being 48 pages.
Oh, I mean the first issue?
Or no, the number 7.
The number 7, issue. That's true. Okay. No, you know, you're right. I looked at it. I think it was a 22-page book.
So, yeah. I mean, and Vertigo is going to continue doing it the rest of the year. There'll be an issue of Scalp that's going to be $1. I think there's another new series going to release later this year for $1. But I think that's... I mostly bought this because I want to support that.
Right.
When we're getting fucking hammered with $3.99 titles from Marvel, somebody's actually putting out a quality book with quantity pages for $1. Like, how can you not buy it?
Right, and on top of that, it is, you know, this is a proven artist team. I mean, Peter Gross and Mike Carey are big names. Mike Carey did a run on X-Men, you know, and he's a really good writer. I mean, I'll admit, I'm not crazy about all his stuff. In fact, some of his X-Men stuff I wasn't that crazy about. It actually caused me to drop one of the X-Men books. But, you know, you're right. Supporting something like this, it's something that they're consciously making a decision to give you an incentive as a reader to pick up something new that you might not normally try. And I picked this up, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. It was really... Here's the thing about The Unwritten. It's a very literate book.
Yeah.
I mean, this book challenges you.
If you don't like words, stay away from this book.
If you only want a bunch of pretty pictures. And because we had the discussion a few segments past about books where there's a lot of just talking. I
mean, you'll get pages like this that actually have like script with like comic going on, which are, you know, parts of a book that they're reading out loud. And then you'll get to, you know, there's, you know, just regular sequential art, and then you'll get the stuff in pages like this, you know, which a lot of you might think like, oh, I don't really read that to get, but you'll understand more of what's going on if you actually read this entire page and stuff like that. So there's a balance of the two in between. So
yeah, I was a little annoyed because I'm actually using. I hadn't read this book yet, but I was actually going to use that gimmick that Mike Carey uses in here in a project I'm doing. So people are going to think, oh, Mike Carey actually came up with that first. That's where he got the idea. Scout's Honor, I did not know until that he was doing that. So it's like one of those funny things. But regardless, the Unwritten has to do. It's kind of like.
It's kind of like a Harry Potter.
It's kind of like a Harry Potter. What if Harry Potter actually existed? Like, what if Harry Potter came to life out of the books into the real world, and what this character's life would be like? Now, that is a gross oversimplification of it, because even in here, Mike Carey kind of acknowledges that the character he's created for this seems a lot like Harry Potter.
Well, which in turn, back in the day, I was always like, well, Harry Potter is just kind of like ripping off books of magic.
Books of magic,
right. Mentions in here also.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but beyond that, though, this is a very, again, it's a dense book. It's going to challenge you as a reader. You're gonna go through like 3 different types of storytelling techniques that Mike Carey uses in this book, and there's a lot of talk, and yet. I mean, I know I criticized that in that New Mutants.
Interesting.
But it's interesting. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Because it's really... I mean, everyone talks about what the quote-unquote graphic novels are, which is just like a really a kind of a highbrow term for comic books. Comic books are comic books. This is a graphic novel. Yeah. It's a novel in sequential art form, and it's very well done. So, I mean, I'm telling you, for $1...
You can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong.
You're not going to find a better value for a fucking $1.
For $1.
That's for fucking true.
And it gives you, and it's something, it piques your interest. The book starts, a lot of stuff happens in the beginning. Mike Carey could have easily just spent a lot of time just doing setup, and teasing you. I think he lets...
But there's already a payoff by the end of the issue.
Oh, yes, there's definitely...
I mean, something that he kind of sets up at the beginning, you're like, all right, well, I know where this is going to go. Well, you know what? He actually ends up the issue and ending up that story, like that little story at the very beginning, so you don't have to wait that much longer for that to wrap up.
Right. So you get a full story in it and a satisfying conclusion to that arc, and yet it leaves you with plenty to go to follow the book and pick up issue number 2, which
you should all do.
You should all do
after reading number 1.
Pick it up. All right. So The Unwritten by Mike Carey and Peter Gross gets our highest recommendation. We'll come back with yet some more books that we enjoyed. We hope you join us.